Hey, Gamex here. So a lot of people have asked me for my thoughts on the beta, and I really wanted to give it a good, run through it with my fingers before putting out a video on it. I'll probably do another video at the end of it. We got 1 week left. They just put in Superstar KO, and the Yard, that kind of stuff. So I haven't played any of that yet, but basically I want to go through my thoughts on the gameplay mostly as MUD itself. There's been some changes. Maybe I could do a video on the changes too. But that's really MUD kind of plays out through a year focus. So MUD's hard to review right away. Gameplay is kind of there, and they iterate on a little bit, and we'll talk about that, of course. Franchise mode, you watch my last video for my thoughts on that. Mega improved. It's insane. I don't know why the franchise community and what I'm seeing on message board and stuff refuses to take the W on this, but it's weird. It's like they still want it to suck, but neither here nor there. Gameplay thoughts. Overall, I'm gonna go through and compare it to 21 next gen, because obviously the obvious comparisons are to Madden of the past, and current gen and next gen play so dramatically different with the game, and there's a lot of things that do cross over. Playbooks have barely changed, and I really hope they bring in more of that. Live playbooks kind of maximize that a little bit more. I don't know how hard it is to change playbooks. Maybe they could bring in a creative play down the road, like they had an old Madden or NFL head coach, that we could just create our own, then that we don't have to complain about playbooks being stale year over year. That's a big thing, right? The staleness of it. So I think overall impression, it is a significantly better game than 21 next gen, right? Movement is slightly better, and we'll get into our deep thoughts on movement in a bit. It's kind of an overview session. But there still remains issues, right? And I think a lot of why I play games is the fun factor. Does 22 next gen, which is the only one we're playing on, have that fun factor compared to 21? I think the answer for different people vary, right? Going through the good of next gen, I don't really have it broken out in good. I just kind of have it listed down here. And maybe I shouldn't break it out to good to bad. We'll just go through my list that I'll show you at the end there. But overall, last thought, I feel like my biggest frustration with Madden gameplay team is that they mess with stuff that doesn't really need to be changed, right? And when there's so many glaring issues out there that we continually give feedback on, it's like they're not listening to us, right? For example, they've messed with movement 5 of the last 6 years, maybe even 6 out of the last 6 years. I didn't really go back and count. But 21 movement, it was 50% of the people loved it, maybe 50% of the people didn't like it. I don't know, because you look at the beta feedback forums, there's people that hate the movement, people that love it. And the fact that they keep messing with it when there's such a split decision on it, it shows okay, 50-50 like it or dislike it, whatever the breakdown is. But there are things that 95% of the community hates, 100% of the community probably, but there's always those edgelords that like things just because other people don't. So when those things happen, offensive line logic is probably in the worst place that I've seen it. And that's my biggest frustration with 22 next gen. The fact that, that the lead gameplay dev was an offensive lineman, but it's still in such a horrendous spot that it's really hard to like the game, right? I've had opponents 3-man rushing me, and my 5-man offensive line just lets the guy get off the edge without even interacting him, right? A 3-man rush, no blitz, no nothing. He just comes off the line and sacks me. And I'm that's a waste of time. Those are the things that make Madden a bad game, right? The movement itself, makes it more fun, less fun, but that's been an issue for years is still in the game. Linemen still miss blocks. Now, whether it's they're not agile enough to reach, maybe the defender outswerved him or something, got around him that way. There's no inputting of animation. There's nothing that shows us as a person on the field that okay, they missed it for this reason, because the guy's just faster than them and they juked them out or something. The offensive lineman get a missed on a reach block and they suck, right? There's nothing that shows. It's just they just kind of look at them and then they watch them turn and huh. It's you'd get yelled at if this was film session and an offensive lineman showed that kind of effort. So it's very frustrating to see those games, those repetitive issues show up over and over. More things that they focus on, right? That one point that they don't need to focus on when there's other things. Last year, they made zone changes when they didn't need to. No, people that was people loved the zones last year, then they changed them to make them play differently. So corner routes didn't get respected, but couldn't, it made it a lot harder to bomb them. But delay fades were still in the game, right? Why would you make updates to the zone logic when delay fades were a much bigger issue, were a much worse thing? Zone could have been moved around, right? We had fixes for that. We could have gone to cover 2 zones. Instead of making your cover 3 zones play like cover 2 zones, let us have the option of adjusting them that way. So that's frustrating, right? So that's one of the things, right? And like the play call menu, why did that have to change? Why would you focus time on the play call menu and changing that around when there are so many other things that you could be spending your time on? And that's, I think, like, when it comes down to it, my biggest frustration with the Madden series, gameplay wise, is that it seems like they waste time. They spin their wheels and change things just to change things. All right, let's go through individual items, and let me get my thoughts on that. Running the ball. Now, 21 I thought was a very fun game to run the ball in with stop and goes, with the ability to kind of maneuver your character depending on how you input your sticks, right? I think a good game is where you feel like maximum responsiveness to your inputs, right? Like when things are kind of laggy, it's just not good game. Like it feels loose and like you're moving molasses. I think those are like unfun games. So like Madden purposely going back to the more molasses movement is like, okay, more realistic, they say. And you see that argument a lot. It's more realistic. And I see that point, right? Being able to go from 0 to 100 within the drop of a hat is not realistic either, right? But also going slow, and like a lot of guys, you'll see the statement, it feels like you're playing on ice a little bit, you're skating a little bit, and that is absolutely true, right? When you take a look at Tyreek Hill, you really see, like in real life, you really see the explosiveness of his shift of direction. Like he plants and it just shifts and goes, right? In Madden, like the plant and go, it feels like you're going into a hockey stop before you transition back a little bit. And I definitely see the frustration there. Now, obviously, we can get better with it. Like, I will say, like, you can stop by just letting go of the joystick. And I think, like, it is responsive a little bit to the joystick, but the players aren't as explosive as they used to be. So I like there's a responsiveness to the joystick. And a lot of people, I saw some feedbacks on jukes, spins, that kind of stuff. Jukes and spins are actually really good, right? If you get them down, like, you have to move your left stick along with hitting the button, right? You have to move it one way or the other and hit the juke or spin button, and then you actually move quite a bit and you actually fake guys out even without jukebox spin cycle and jukebox spin cycle are both solid abilities this year from what they've had, right? The running game, though, even though players still seem like they move a little bit molasses, it's better than last year. And like I said off the top, the linemen missing blocks are still the biggest frustration. You're still going to get people raging about that, and the fact that you haven't taken a look at O-line blocking awareness or ability to see blocks. Now, if you came out and said, hey, these guys are missing blocks because they're morons and their awareness isn't very good, that'd be good feedback for us. Like, hey, your awareness is only 80. He's going to miss guys running past them. That's okay. But then when I get a 99 awareness guy, if that still happens, okay, now I'm frustrated. Okay, so that's something that I really need to look at for running, okay? So, like, while I say I don't like the movement as much as 21 current gen, I know a lot of people do, so I'm just going to leave that out there. That's a personal opinion on which kind of movement system you guys like. Defenders have useless ball skills at times, right? I think, like, so in the NFL, when you see a Gronk against a linebacker and say Brady throws the ball high to Gronk, he catches over the linebacker's head, like, oh, great job. That's a great play. That's just like him out-skilling the linebacker. But in Madden, when the same thing happens and your Levante David doesn't jump and doesn't make a play on the ball above his head because it's a high point, you're like, oh, wow, this game is ass, right? And it is very frustrating. Linebackers look to be useless again this year in pass coverage. We'll see how they'll play in run defense, of course. But it is frustrating that, like, the closer you throw the ball to linebackers, the worse they play it, right? Like, if you throw the ball like 5 yards away, they'll do like a warp knockdown. But if you throw the ball right at their noggin, just like maybe even a high pointer, right, the pass lead up to a tall tight end, it's like, okay, well, that's a completion. And now you're like, what the heck? And it happens too with, like, I think one of the most frustrating things when passing or defending the pass, I mean, is when the ball, like, you have a guy right there in the area and you're like, all right, make a play. Sweet. That's an awful decision, awful read. But then the receiver just, like, cuts you off, beats you, and your guy doesn't really animate. And you're like, wow, okay, well, dang, I really felt like he should have got that. So, like, when a guy dots you up and there's, like, he finds somebody that's nowhere in the area, it's like, okay, well, you know, good job. You exploited my defense. You found the open read. But, like, if they throw it at a guy in your area, you had the perfect defense there, and they still complete it, that's where Madden is bad. So I still don't love the ball skills. A lot of people, I see this feedback a lot by people saying, hey, I hated that DBs out-animate wide receivers. Like, the solution is to not throw it in your DBs, right? Like, don't throw up balls in competitive game style near your defensive back. You deserve to get picked off. If you throw a one-on-one in Madden, that's not a good thing, right? We had Madden 16 and people hated that. That's not good gameplay. Like, if you want that, you can go play arcade mode because they do have that option right there. So overall, like I still think defenders really need to react. Like the thing is, like I don't want them reacting that good though, right? Like so when I say reactions, it's such like a nuanced thing because reactions are like I don't want them reacting to a ball 10 yards away from him and knocking it down, right? That's what they do. They end up tuning up reactions. So like even when you throw an open pass, because they get this warp logic, this reaction, this insane like we're psychic on the field. That's bad gameplay. But I want the reactions and the smartness of the ball when it's thrown at them to be better. And it's tough to kind of like, illustrate that point without really going into depth. So it's hard to get into like a little fragment, like make plays within their like, area of dominance or whatever, but like don't extend that area of dominance based off reaction. So that's a very, very big frustration. Linebackers are not good again this year. But I will say defenders recognize routes a lot better. So it's kind of weird. Like, right, guys are reacting to routes. You're going to get baited a lot by the CPU in 22. And I think that's a good thing. So they've definitely increased like the logic that, right? Like the problem is sometimes you don't know how zone plays. Like hook curls will sometimes match guys across the field in just a regular base drop defense. And like, wait, whoa. I thought he was going to play his hook zone. What happened? Do I have to throw on zone drops? And maybe you do. And that's something I got to learn. But like, it's weird that like, all right, I got that guy on the yellow there. I'm going to cover this yellow here. But then this guy chases the crosser this way, the slant this way. And there's a crosser over top that I was passing off to him, but he's gone and it's an easy completion. I'm like, okay, I don't know why they're matching there and what needs to happen on crossers and base drop defense. So that's still kind of messy. I will say contains are useless. Well, I think contains are okay. They're inconsistent is my problem. I think if they don't do something to contains, that rollouts are going to be the meta again. Like playing a mobile quarterback in this game because escape artist, it's not really even necessary. Like cards are a lot faster. Quarterbacks are like their regular speed behind the line of scrimmage. Lamar's a problem. And contains and spies, they just don't catch him, right? Like if it gets to the point where I'm like, put an ability for contains, like 1 AP, make them superhuman. I don't care. Like, just give me a way to stop the mobile quarterbacks from just rolling out the pocket every way, right? Blitz off the edge, but then like sometimes the blitzer goes in the middle, right? Like sometimes their blitz logic takes them in the middle of the defensive line. That's not what you want. Like just some way of countering it. That's all I want, because rollout corners have been a problem for a couple years now, and 22 it's gonna be no different. You're gonna see rolling quarterbacks all the time. Tom Brady can scramble nicely and hit those rollout corners because still zones through the sideline don't play great. So I'm totally down to dedicate 2 AP. Give me superhuman contains, just something that I can keep the quarterback in the pocket and make them have to pass the ball from the pocket or run the ball, or maybe, play offense some way where they just don't scramble every play. That's all I ask is counterplay in my video games. And I really hope they do something to contains in 22 before the game launches. It's going to be the meta. It's absolutely degenerate. They fixed delay fades. You can man them up. So that was good. Let me see. Throw out a sack is still here for some reason. I hate it, dude. They got to get rid of throw out a sack. Throw out a sack's got to be like spiked into the ground, something like that. It's tough, man, because like the quarterbacks sometimes then like the throw motions seem long too, even with Gunslinger. Like you get that throw to sack, or sometimes like they'll hold on the ball. You'll throw the ball, and like in 21 they get the ball off. In 22, it feels like they'll hold it a little longer. Maybe the animation takes longer, or if the guy's going to be in the tackle, if he's going to tackle him, maybe the quarterback holds on to it and takes the sack, right? Like, so it's an interesting decision. Like, should the quarterback take the sack if the pressure's that close to him, or should they throw a wobbler? I'd rather take the sack, obviously. I'd rather go down that way or throw it or it goes incomplete, but because like a random shed happens, very quickly, and you get the ball out, you feel the pressure, you get the ball out, and just it always seems to like find like it's like psychic, and it goes through defender. I don't love throw out a sack. You don't see a lot of, you see it, once in a while, lame ducks in the NFL, but you don't see it nearly as much as you see in Madden, and it is frustrating to throw out a sack. It needs to be tuned. Throw out a sack is just it's a almost universally, like by people that play the game a lot, like a hated feature. It's too random, it feels like. Talk about randoms. I didn't see like any fumbles. I saw one fumble of a quarterback in the pocket, but the amount of hit sticks I threw and landed and versus CPU versus the game, is the only fumbles I saw were against the quarterback. So I don't know. I feel like hit sticks should cause fumbles for guys that like juke or try and do user moves. If you make a bad decision, you should get punished, right? If you do a user move into a hit stick, you should get punished, right? Like that's just bad gameplay. Where if you try and play like that, that's just low skill. Don't be making dumb moves into hit sticks, right? Don't be trying to get fancy around Cam Chancellor. Like kind of like, take the hit and go out of bounds, or take the hit and go down, but don't try and like do like a what, like trying to like juke around him or something, because you're gonna get lit up. And when you get lit up, you should put the ball on the ground. I think that's just good game counterplay. And same with quarterbacks. If they get lit up, they should put the ball on the ground. Not every time, but a high percentage. I found a way of, it really worked against the CPU. I didn't try it out enough against other players, of like basically spec catching, like kind of like a Jemiah catching to Mike Evans stuff, high point. Like you throw a high point but hold the left stick down. It's worth investigating more. I didn't really try it online as much, and I maybe should, but against the computer is basically every time. I talked about spin and juke move being really nice. Playbooks I talked about a little bit being a little underwhelming again this year. The routes are weird, right? Post patterns, unless you have like a route chem, post patterns are dominated by man coverage this year, which is unfortunate. It's hard to take advantage of the middle. If they play man coverage and like two zones on the edges, it's hard to take advantage of the middle of the field. Right now, there's obviously things you can do, crossers, but then crossers kind of go to the other side too. You can kind of like pass lead them up, of course. But like it is unfortunate that like posts and Z posts aren't better, especially Z posts. I think Z posts are solid against man right now, but I wish they were like even better. I wish there was like better counter for man coverage down the middle of the field. Like double moves, like I think like double moves are okay. They're inconsistent also, which, it is what it is. It's football. Not everything's 100%. And maybe it's because I was using guys that are only 92 overall in MUT and not like 99 overall or 90 route running, that kind of stuff that I was guaranteed. Maybe they have better, sharper cuts on those double moves. And obviously route chem abilities help everything. But like double moves, like especially the not like the hot route double moves, but I was thinking the slant and goes. What are they called in games? In game, I don't remember, but like you slant and then you go up. Sluggo routes, slant and go. And those things aren't very good. And I was very frustrated by sluggos because like I was forced into using Tampa-based playbook, and I really didn't see a lot of great double moves unless you hot routed to them. So hopefully they can increase double moves against man coverage as the counter. Pass leading still isn't great that I noticed. Halftime adjustment to abilities is kind of cool. I like that thing. I just saw some glitches around the halftime adjustment. Like one game I played, I was up by like 2 or 3 scores, and it's like halftime adjustments to abilities, and then like it's like it felt like he advanced me, and then it was like, do you want to quit? I'm like, no, I don't want to quit. So I hit the don't quit button, and then it quit me, and I was like, what? So I lost the game. I think it was my playoff game too. So it's like, oh, hopefully they work out that bug before release. But that was kind of it's kind of like that, along with the disconnects. Like I wasn't able to play on PS5, so I'm playing on Xbox. I just chalked it down to beta problems. Sideline catches are both great and unfortunate at the same time, right? It's a lot down to the dice roll on where the receiver is. Like sometimes sideline catches just are insanely good, and then other times you're like, wait, why didn't you catch that inbound? So sideline catches, like, it's tough to say they're bad because they're not, but they're not like super consistent too, which I guess is football. Nothing's perfectly consistent. Air truck is back. I think 3-man rush still might be a little too good. Lurker is amazing with the jumps. Got some insane lurk jumps. One dude paused my game and crashed it. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but I think I just scored and then he paused it and crashed it. I don't know if that's gonna be something in the main release, but that was something I thought was super interesting. 0-1 trap's really good. I think the run game is solid where it's at. It doesn't seem overpowered at the moment. But like I think a lot of dudes are holding R2 when they run against me, and I'm getting sheds that way. So don't hold R2 if you're running. But like I think like we'll have to obviously try it out more with like Derrick Henry's top card and see if he dominates dudes, and if people like going against the real run cheesers, the ones that do it 4 downs in a row. 4th and 12 is another running down to them. Like I don't know. We haven't really found like the OP runs yet though, so like I haven't seen a lot of the run spam. The A button is slightly off the kick meter and it's annoying. That one kind of sucked, but it's such a minor thing. Who cares? Pursuit is still jacked up, sadly. You can throw off the CPU by just jiggling the left joystick. Oh, this is a whole different thing. So like, how we had like the swerve back in 17, we just, wiggle the joystick and the computer went with you. The same thing happens in running now, and it's been a thing for a couple years, and it's a way of throwing off pursuit, and it's kind of annoying, right? The fact they fixed it for swerve catching but not swerve running, so pursuit still sucks. And I've had guys like, there was one play, was it yesterday or the day before? I don't remember. But anyways, the running back was running through the whole straight, right? And I had a guy off the edge. he literally stopped on the side of the running back, didn't go for the tackle, and the running back just went straight through the defense for a touchdown. He just went straight up the field. And I was like, wait, why did you stop? Just go and tackle the guy, right? I think it was like Khalil Mack or something. And so I'm like, okay, that's unfortunate. But like, I think it has to do with that system they brought in, like the breakdown system, where like they break down before trying to make a tackle. And I want to talk about tackling physics here in a second. But like overall, like guys, if you're on the side of a running back, just go through him, dude. Just keep hitting him. You don't need to break down when you're on the side of a running back. There needs to be more contextual logic there. Like if you're facing him straight up, okay, yes, real life defenders do break down to not get juked out or anything. But like some of that breakdown, it happens because the swerve can make them break down prematurely too, and that also screws up the pursuit. And there's a lot of issues still with tackling running back still, and it's very frustrating to see that you had a defender there to stop the run. Like I schemed a guy there, and you know, instead of like, you know, making a football move and missing like it would IRL, he just like stopped and didn't do anything, and it's unfortunate to see that. And it's very frustrating as a player to see that I had them beat, but they beat me because of randomness. What was I talking about? Breakdown tackling. Oh yeah. So like tackling, it still feels like tacklers have that cone of tackle, where like, you know how it's animation based, and guys sometimes warp and get tackles. It's too bad. Like obviously, like I saw an interview with them on physics. It's hard to do like collisions because they ragdoll and stuff too much and it looks really weird, so they have to animation base it. But like I said about jukes and spins, you can really make them work well this year. As long as they don't touch that, then you can still make guys miss and stuff in the open field as long as you get the right angle on them. But like it still feels like, you know, they have this zone of control on the defenders, like right in front of them, the zone of control that like if you enter it, they hit the button, then you just go down. Now obviously I like a zone of control when like you're getting something from the back, because that's kind of weird, is trying to like get an animation to kind of trip them. You wouldn't be able to like really do that without animations, like physics wise, like make a guy jump. And it looks kind of, I've seen other games like they ragdoll jump on top of people, and it's I don't know, it's weird. But anyways, for Madden, I don't know what they can do. Tighten the zone of tackle, but would that make runners too powerful because it'd be very hard to tackle them? I don't know, because like if both sides of the ball like had human joystick and they allowed their animations, like and you were able to like your one-to-one input on your controller meant the same as the one-to-one input on your you know, the opposite side, it would be a little bit easier to be a runner. But like, dude, it's very hard to tackle people in the open field in the NFL, and it is very easy to tackle people in the open field in Madden, and it's been that way for a little bit. Now obviously some guys will stop and go, some guys way of making it work, but there needs to be some sort of way of, hey, I've got CMC in the flats against your linebacker or whatever, your cornerback, or Derrick Henry against a cornerback. I need to make you pay. Now, trucking I think is good. Stiff arming I didn't really use a lot, so I can't really speak on stiff arm that much. But like, there needs to be a way of saying, hey, you're exploited here, right? You've got a bad matchup. Now, instead of you getting a drag down tackle due to your like zone of command, you hitting me kind of on the side, there needs to be a way of non-auto broken tackles, right? Like auto broken tackles are very like, I don't love them, right? Because it just seems like it's so random and CPU. It's basically like, oh, my numbers beat your numbers. But I want a way of the stick skill showing of, hey, I made you look like an idiot because you were not able to square me up, or I ran through you because you had Deion Sanders against Derrick Henry, right? That's just a mismatch. Don't put Deion Sanders in the flat against Derrick Henry. He's going to run to the sidelines, right? So I don't know. I wish there was something I could like say and do other than like, you know, get more control over your players and decrease the zone of tackling. But then it brings game balances like old Maddens, because it was very hard to tackle guys that could move really well. So that is a hard thing to do and talk about. What's the proper balancing for running backs and wide receivers that are one-on-one versus defenders that are one-on-one against them, and how hard, and what should be the way of like the success ratio on one against the other. Let's see. What else I got? Talk about fumbles. I think that's what I want to talk about with the beta. I'll have, you know, another video probably at the end of the beta. I'll probably play a little bit of Yard here, probably play a little bit of Superstar KO, but mostly focus on MUT and gameplay still. But that's what I think so far. Let me see if I can't show you my list currently. Some of it, like I started off the beta, which is why I don't like to do these things right away. Which sometimes I do initial broken tackles, like, because I said, like, I don't know how to get around defenders except by auto broken tackle or truck. Why do they take away our left stick? Like, our left stick is pretty much gone, but left stick in combination with juke and spin is like, you know, kind of really nice. So I got rid of that feedback. Like there is a way of messing up pursuit. I just talked about it. But yeah, it doesn't. It still skates a little bit. So here are my notes. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a link to this in the description that you guys can kind of look through. And it's kind of like a running thing. Whenever I play the game, I'll maybe add more opinions on it. But that's it for the video. 25 minutes. Wow, that actually went a lot longer than I thought it would. All right. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike if you didn't like it. Let me know why. Appreciate all the feedback. What are your guys' feedback on the beta? Let me know in the comments below, and love reading it. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.